all eyes will be on St Gallen for this group game, the final group game in the Euros for England and Wales. We've already talked about the Lionesses and how we feel they will come into this game, and they do come into it off the back of a fantastic 4-0 victory over the Netherlands, taking on a Wales side that have lost their opening 2 games. But remember, this is their first ever major tournament. Delighted to say, joining us, it is the former Wales assistant coach, Rehanne Skinner. Good morning to you, Rehanne. How are you?
Rehanne?
Morning, good, thank you. How are you both?
Yeah, we're
very
great.
Well, thank you. It's an interesting one, this one, because as I mentioned, for Wales, they come into this having lost their first 2 games, but that France game, history was created by Jess Fishlock scoring that goal. I mean, these are kind of the moments that they've got to cherish, isn't it? Because it's the first ever major goal for the Wales women's team.
Yeah, absolutely. They've worked so hard to get to this point, and it's such a tough test. The Euros is not meant to be for the faint-hearted, and to get to this stage has been a really admirable achievement. Something they've been working towards for years, and for Jess Fishlock, I mean, 38 years old. I don't think she was too happy to be given the record of the oldest player to score in the tournament, to be honest. But you take it, that's how long she's been working for to be able to get to this point. I think she made a debut in 2006. That's just such a significant career at international level. And I couldn't be more pleased, actually, that they got the goal. They gave France a tough test in spells as well, made it hard to break down. But I think just as the game went on, little bit of naivety. We saw it in the game before as well. Just some mistakes at some crucial times, but that's kind of the learning part of being at this stage for the first time.
Well, it was certainly, if you look at the first game when they the Netherlands and lose 3-0, you certainly saw progress, even though they lost to France 4-1. It felt like it was a much better, more complete performance.
Yeah, I totally agree, Tony. I mean, I think the first game's always tough, isn't it? You're in a new setting completely. There's a lot of, there'll be anxiety, there'll be excitement, there'll be a lot of emotions going on that you're trying to manage. And I think, I said when I was doing the commentary for the game, I think the team selection was right as well, though, if I'm honest. I think the players that were in key positions nullified, France to a certain extent for big spells of the game as well. So I think they defended much more organised. They were more competitive in 1v1 situations that made it a little bit harder for France. And when they went forward, I thought they had more options. The change of shape helped them to just get more numbers in higher areas that led to sustaining attacks a little bit higher up the pitch, which they really struggled with against the Netherlands without really having much of an outlet to go forward. So improvements game on game. Let's see, what they can now do against England.
And as you say, it is England. It's a home nation rival. That adds a little bit of spice to it. And I'm sure so much of the team talk will be about upsetting the Lionesses, maybe even ousting them from the tournament before the knockout stages as well, if other results go the way that Wales might want it to. They've never beaten a top 10 ranked nation. So if you were involved in this Wales squad right now, what would your message be to them?
I'm not sure how much they need ramping up for this, if I'm honest. I think, given that it's England, it's at the Euros, I think on the day, if I'm honest, I think it'd be much more of a message of, what you're here to do. It's just, we've planned, we've practiced, we know what the kind of game plan is for what we're trying to deliver. You have to control yourselves in the key moments to deliver and think clearly, because sometimes, and without the experience, like emotionally, some of your decisions can be quite rash. And I think we've seen that on a couple of occasions, and just diving in at difficult moments. Obviously, that's not going to be highlighted at this point going into this game, but it's just more of a, let's make sure we stay switched on at all times, because actually when we do, we're competitive, we stay in the game, we've made life difficult for people, and actually we're more effective when we're switched on. So don't let the emotions take over, because that could end up leading to some difficult decisions made again.
Yeah, it's always a tough one. The third game of the group phase, which is it could ultimately be your final game. So you could be packing up next day, going home and going wherever you know, or even on holiday. I always found that quite intriguing, because it really feels like it's nearly at the knockout stage anyway. And it's like a knockout game, because that's how you're going to be playing it from not just Wales, but for many other teams in group third game scenario.
Yeah, it is. And obviously it's not impossible either, is it? Now, in some of the other groups, by the third game, by the time that's come around, you're already out. So actually, Wales have still got something to hold on to. We know there's a lot of factors, right, that have to go along with that for them to get through this group. But at the same time, it's an opportunity to go and just show what you're about, show what you've learned. Go and do it against England, because there's always that rivalry there. Whether England want to play that down or not, it's there. And so I think the biggest thing is give a really good account of yourself and show the progress that's been made. And you're still in it. You never know what might happen.
And I suppose also, theoretically, the pressure is all on England at the end of the day.
It is, yeah, it is. And I just think England have been there with that, haven't they? So at the moment, when we're talking about some of the decisions that Wales have made at key moments, and then you talk about the reaction from England after the Netherlands game, you can see the difference in experience in those and the capability there, so it might be pressure, but to be honest, they are thinking about it as a knockout game, as you've already outlined, Tony. Wales are thinking like that, but so are England. Ultimately, they have to win to get through. And so I think that's a key thing, that they'll show their experience, and the depth of the squad's obviously stronger. But they've been here before, and I think that's kind of the difference, really. You draw on those experiences to help you at these key moments.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Rehanne, thank you for being with us today, and enjoy the game.
Thanks, Rehanne.
No problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You can tune into talkSPORT 2 this evening to find out who, might win this game, or indeed how it all pans out in Group D, because actually all four teams have a chance of making it through to the knockout rounds. Obviously, slightly more difficult circumstances for Wales. They need a bit of a miracle with everything to go their way, and they have to beat England by at least 4 goals to sort of overturn the goal differences and everything like that comes into play. But what I should say is there is a likelihood that England, France and the Netherlands can all end up on 6 points. And then it will come down to the head-to-head results between those 3 nations to see who would go through. And by virtue of that, it would be England that would go through, having beaten the Netherlands 4-0. So that is just to cover that one off for you. But it should be intriguing nonetheless. And we should point out, as we said already, that this is the first ever major tournament for Wales. So it's been a fantastic learning experience, I'm sure, for many of those
scoring
young
their
players.
First goal.
Yeah, exactly. They've created history by being at this tournament, created history by scoring a goal. Who was that? The Wales legend that is Jess Fishlock, who has, I think, the most caps, the most goals for Wales. I mean, as Rehanne was telling us, what was it, 2006 that she began her Wales career? I mean, that's incredible.
19 years ago.
Yeah, that's madness, isn't it? So yes, talkSPORT 2, that's your destination for that one. And on talkSPORT at the same time, you can tune into Chelsea against PSG.